But Brandon, let's close out the podcast doing what we do each and every week, and that is making our picks in college football. How we do it, if you are new to the channel, new to the podcast, we go through all the top 25 games this week. We pick a winner. They are straight pick'ems for this year. If you guys want us to do ATS, you want us to do against the spread, let us know. We will do that next year. But for this year, they are straight pick'em games. We go through all the top 25s, and at the very end, I give a non-top 25 game to pick. Brandon gives a non-top 25 game to pick. It is our non-top 25 games of the week to pick and get a extra win on there that would not be. But Brandon, we're going to start off with a Thursday night matchup, a team that we did not pick about a week or two ago, and they proved us both wrong against Cincinnati. We have 5-3 Temple, 4-0 in the American. They are taking on 7-0 UCF, number 9 in the country. They are undefeated, obviously, in the conference as well. Who are you going with, Temple or the 11-point favorited Knights?
Got to go with UCF. They're kind of that team where they haven't lost yet. You don't stop picking against them until they do lose. I don't see them losing this week.
So you can say you give them the Alabama treatment.
A little bit.
You give them the Alabama. I'm giving them the Alabama treatment as well. I'm going to go ahead and pick UCF to get this W. Temple did spur me once when I picked Cincinnati, but I like UCF too much, and plus I kind of want to root for them to possibly make the playoffs. And how do you do that if you're UCF? You win every single game, so that's why I'm going to pick them. Then a Friday night matchup for college football. 4-4 Pitt taking on 6-2 Virginia. Who are you going with in Charlottesville, Pittsburgh or Virginia?
I'm going to have to go with Virginia at home. I think that they've been rolling as of late. They've won their last 3 games. However, if this is a shootout type of game, Pittsburgh has shown that they're built to be able to be in those games. Virginia, maybe not as much, but I am going to go with the Cavaliers.
Now, I am going to go with Virginia as well. This is one that I kind of was like, hey, I want to pick someone. I want to pick Pitt because I think they can upset, because I'm like, I'm going to pick Virginia, and knowing me, I'll pick Virginia, and then Pitt will upset them, but I'm going to pick the Cavaliers to get the win in this one. Then to me, this is an interesting one because I know who I'm going to pick. Who are you going to pick? Undefeated, number 3 team in the country right now, Notre Dame, or are you picking the 5-3 Northwestern Wildcats?
So this is an interesting game. Northwestern has played very well. They actually control their destiny in the Big Ten West. This is the team right now who looks to be the team that's going to come out of the West Division there. They've played really good football, but Notre Dame's been on a roll. They won a big game last week against Navy. They won a big game the week before against Pitt. And obviously they've won all their games to this point, but the reason I said these last 2 is because this is supposed to be the easy, quote-unquote easy portion of their schedule. But these are some of the games that there is no ranking to them. The other game is not ranked. The other team is not ranked. Notre Dame is. This is going to be a tough game. They're toughest by far of the non-ranked opponents, but I'm still going to go with the Fighting Irish to win a close game against Northwestern.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, and the reason why I say that is I got to pull up something really quick about Notre Dame before I kind of explain something and give my pick. So the last road games for Notre Dame against Wake Forest started out 3-7 after one. Going into half, they kind of blew it open to 28-13, didn't officially run away until the second half. That was the Ian Book game. Then Virginia Tech, they actually went into halftime only leading by 1, 17-16, before blowing it open in the second half. And then the Navy game, which was on the road, probably their most decisive road game, but it was also a road game for Navy as well, 27-0 at half, and then let Navy score 22 points in the second half. I am actually going upset special here, Brandon. It pains me to pick Northwestern. The blue and orange in me is boiling, Brandon. It is boiling, 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 because it's like, how can you pick the Wildcats? We never pick the Wildcats. We hate the Wildcats. The Illini in me just wants to burn and kind of shrivel up, but I am going to pick the Wildcats to beat Notre Dame and play spoiler to their college football playoff hopes. It's at home at Northwestern. Notre Dame is susceptible on the road to an upset. I'm going to say Northwestern gets the better edge of them, and Northwestern has been playing better as of late.
And Northwestern, they've done really well for me when I picked them in upsets this year. I think they're 2-0 when I picked them in upsets this season.
Well, too bad you're not picking them in this one, because I would feel a little bit more confident. But hey, you got to go ahead and pick the other one so I can gain some games on you. Then we've got, to me, I think 2 easy ones, but the first one's Clemson-Louisville. Like, Clemson's a 36-point favorite, should probably be higher. Louisville is bad this year. I'm going to go with the Tigers to get the win over the Louisville Cardinals.
Yeah, no Lamar Jackson, and they have certainly felt the effects of that. It's been really, really rough sledding for Louisville, all Clemson.
Then the next game I'll ask you about, Nebraska, they're on a 2-game win streak. They now go into Columbus to play the Buckeyes. Can they play spoiler in Columbus, or will the Buckeyes kind of smack them around a little bit?
If Nebraska plays spoiler in Columbus, Urban Meyer will not be going back with the team. He will be fired before he was even able to get on the bus or the plane or whatever form of transportation they're taking.
Oh,
Ohio State is not going to lose this game. Buckeyes all the way.
Yeah, this was, I said easy one because I wrote down Ohio State before I even looked at the line for this one. Then an interesting one because it's only a 5-point line for this one in the favorite of the Orange, but we've got Syracuse at 22. They are going to go into Winston-Salem to play the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. I got to go with my boy Dino Babers and going with the Syracuse Orange to get the win over the Demon Deacons.
Syracuse has been a much improved team this season. We've seen it. We saw how well they played against Clemson earlier in the year, really had a shot at winning that football game, but Clemson able to get it in the end. And Wake Forest really hasn't been that strong of a team this season. Got to go with the Syracuse Orange.
And then two back-to-back SEC games. The first one, Texas A&M against Auburn. I'm surprised because Texas A&M is the ranked team in this, but maybe because it's at home, Auburn is a 5-point favorite. Who are you taking, the Tigers or the Aggies?
Auburn has been disappointing this season, but Texas A&M also has been up and down on their games this year as well. I know that Auburn's at home, and you would think, okay, give the upper hand to them, but I'm going to say Texas A&M is going to get a bounce-back win after losing against Mississippi State last week.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I like Texas A&M in this one. I haven't liked Auburn since, week 1 when I picked them against Washington. Besides that, I have not liked the Tigers too much this year. Then a ranked matchup in the SEC. Georgia gets a big win last week, 7-1. They are now number 6. They will play 7-1 Kentucky, who avoided upset to the hands of the Mizzou Tigers. Who gets the win in Lexington, Kentucky, the Bulldogs or the Wildcats?
I'm actually going to go with Georgia in this one. I'm going to say Georgia because Kentucky has shown, and why they almost lost last week too, is they're just too one-dimensional. They have no passing game. It's been really tough, and I'm surprised that they're even ranked number 11 right now. It's because of their running game. It's because of their defense. Certainly not their passing game. Georgia will be able to feast because of that.
Yeah, I almost picked Kentucky in this one. I thought you were going to pick Kentucky because of how often you like to go in these big type games. That is, it seems like you like to go against the Bulldogs because Bulldogs and LSU, I just don't think you're very high on this year in these ranked games. But I got to go with the Bulldogs in this one. They have the better coach. They have the better quarterback. Running back might be a little bit of a sway to the Wildcats, but I got to go Bulldogs to get the win in Kentucky. Then a Big 12 matchup. Number 12, West Virginia going into Austin, Texas. And the big thing that I found funny today. I think it was First Take I heard this. After the loss to Oklahoma State, which, Brandon, the curse is still alive. Thank you very much for that. But it was, I think, Stephen A. when he was like, oh, remember when 2 weeks ago, Texas is back. He goes, what, back to 3 losses? And they're not at 3 losses yet. They could be after this week. Who are you going with in Austin, the Mountaineers or the Longhorns?
I'm going to go with the Mountaineers. I think that West Virginia got things back on track last week against Baylor. Will Greer looked good again, throwing for over 350 yards, 3 touchdowns. He didn't turn the football over. I think Texas's defense looked really susceptible to big plays last week. And when Oklahoma State is able to do that against you, I think West Virginia certainly will be able to do that. I don't know if Sam Ehlinger is going to have enough in him. While West Virginia's defense is not necessarily anything to write home about, they have made some big plays at some big moments this season. I think West Virginia will be able to get the win this week.
Ehlinger played very well last week, even in a loss. I am going to differ with you on this one. I am going with Tejas to get the win, and the Longhorns will beat the Mountaineers, and they will be back for a second time. Stella is getting her groove back, part numero dos. Then we got a Big 12 matchup. Matt will be watching this one very intently as 6-2 Iowa comes into West Lafayette, Indiana to play the Purdue Boilermakers. I am going to go with the team. I shouldn't pick them because, A, when I picked this team last week, they lost, and when I picked against Purdue, they won. But I'm picking against Purdue again. I'm going with Iowa to get the win. How about you?
Yeah, Purdue had their first loss in over a month last weekend, and it was a tough one. Iowa played Penn State really, really well. I'm going to have to go with the Hawkeyes. I think that they get a win this week on the road. That
was another one, B. I thought you were going to go with Purdue in that one. I thought you were going to stick with Matt, going with Purdue. I mean, Matt's obviously going to root for Purdue because he's a Purdue fan, but I thought I was going to get one on there, and you surprised me by picking the Hawkeyes. I won't be able to gain a game on you in that matchup, but how about the next one? We talked about this one. Michigan hosting Penn State. Who gets the dub?
It's going to be a great game. This is going to be a hard-fought matchup. It's a Big Ten game. I've got to go with Michigan. I'm going to go with the home team. I think that Michigan, they've got a lot of things riding on this one. Penn State, they've been good, then they've not been good. They've been up, they've been down. Now they're meeting a Michigan team whose defense can really hold you down no matter how good you are. I think that Trace McSorley, while he has been very good in his college career, I think he's going to have at least one turnover this weekend, and Michigan's going to be able to I think, win the game on the ground. They're going to win there. Higdon's going to have a great game. It's going to be his, I believe, 6th straight game with over 100 yards. Michigan's going to win.
Yeah, I got to go with Michigan as well. I just think that they're the better team than Penn State. I know that that's not always the case. Upsets can happen, but I got to go with Michigan to get the win at home. If this was at Penn State, I might be thinking the other way, but I'm going to go with the Wolverines. Then a game that it pains me to make this pick, Brandon, because not only are the Hokies a 2-point favorite against Boston College in Blacksburg, Virginia, not only are the Hokies my other favorite team, but Boston College I've had a soft spot for ever since the beginning of the year. And if you are a loyal listener to the podcast, you might be thinking, hey, we got to put your hand on Ricky's head. Is he feeling okay? First he picks Northwestern. Now he picks against his Virginia Tech Hokies. I am going to pick A.J. Dillon is back, returning last week, having a big game. I am going to pick the Eagles of Boston College to beat the Virginia Tech Hokies.
Yeah, I'm going to go with BC as well. A.J. Dillon with a great week last week, 32 carries, 149 yards on the ground, and a touchdown. I think that he is going to roll this week against Virginia Tech, and Boston College will win because of it.
And then SEC action, Mizzou against Florida. Brandon, should the Gators be worried? Should the Gators be worried about Missouri because of what almost happened last week to Kentucky?
Yes, they should be. I think Florida should be worried about Missouri, and I think Florida should be worried just in general because they really have a liability at quarterback with Felipe Franks. He has shown it throughout his career, throughout his couple of seasons now at Florida. He doesn't make the big plays, but he will for the other team. And that's why I think Florida this week, they should be a little worried Missouri gets the upset.
I mean, just ask Tennessee. What was that, last year when he threw that Hail Mary and it got intercepted in the end zone and Tennessee beat Georgia in the swamp? Was that last year when that happened or 2 years ago? I can't remember. But that's what I thought of when you said he'll make the play for the other team. I'm going to pick Florida. I can't pick Missouri. Like, I don't know. It's just something in me that's like, yeah, last week was a fluke. I'm going to go with the Gators to get the win over the Tigers. Then we're going to move into Pac-12 action.
And I just
go
want
ahead.
to say really quickly,
Mm-hmm.
I really want to pick the Florida Gators there. I really do, because there's nothing really too enticing about just picking Missouri, because there's just not a whole lot about them. When you just say Missouri, it's like, oh, Missouri.
And
But
Brandon's like, I can't lose a game on you. That'd be throwing away a game.
But Drew Lock at quarterback, Roundtree at running back, I think that they have the offensive weapons to be able to beat Florida. Florida's defense is their biggest strength. I know that, but I don't think that Florida's offense. I think if Missouri can stop the run there, and then they'll of course be able to get to Felipe Franks. Everyone really seems to be able to. I think that's why Missouri's going to be able to win. But I really want to pick Florida, but I can't. I'm going Missouri.
Oh, you are going. Okay, you are going with. Mizzou.
Oh yeah. That's why I
Good.
said. That's why I said Missouri's going to get the upset. Missouri.
Okay. Well, I didn't hear that. I was going to ask you after we recorded to get it on our spreadsheet. Don't want one like last week where I had you down as Arizona, but you obviously said Oregon. I don't know. I guess I wasn't listening to you last week. But then we've got a 7-1 team undefeated in the American, the Houston Cougars, going up against the 3-5 SMU Mustangs. I am going with the Cougars. How about you?
Yeah, I go with Houston. Wanted to go with them last week, but I thought, now Florida's been on a roll. They've been winning all these games. That's why they're staying, in the top 25. And then Houston just put a beating down on them. I think Houston gets a big win this week too.
Now, here's a question for you. Of course, UCF has to get through Temple this week, but I'm going to ask you this anyways. If Houston and UCF play in the American title game, do you think there's a chance? I'm not saying to give me a for sure victor, but do you think there's a chance that Houston can be the team to knock off the Knights? Could they be the one?
There could be. There was a chance earlier this year when UCF should have lost, and they did. And they were able to come back. But there's certainly a chance. You can always say that there's a chance because there always is. I mean, that's what sports is all about, always a chance. Doesn't always mean that's going to happen, but always a chance.
And Brandon, we'll move on Pac-12. We're doing these a little out of order because I just noticed that when you went back to Mizzou, I completely skipped a game here, but we got not one Utes, but two Utes. The Utah Utes taking on Arizona State in Tempe, Arizona. Also, big news for ASU fans. They got their first commitment from the class of 2020 as Chad Johnson Jr. will now commit to be a Arizona State Sun Devil. But who are you picking in this one, 2018, Utah or ASU?
So that would be Chad Ochocinco Jr., right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I'm gonna go with Utah. Utah has shown to be a strong team this year in the Pac-12, and Arizona State, while they have kind of repeatedly shown that they can have that upset potential, I think Utah is the better team in this matchup.
And then we've got two SEC matchups. Well, one's a non-conference one. This one to me is easy. Louisiana Tech going up against Mississippi State, and I am going to go with the Bulldogs to get the win here. Mississippi State with the dub.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mississippi State as well. They had a nice win last week against Texas A&M. I'm going to say that they rolled this one.
And then the game that we spoke about earlier, it is Alabama at number 1. It is LSU at number 4. Brandon, who gets the win, Alabama or LSU?
LSU was able to knock off the top Florida team back in the 1990s and 1997, and LSU was the home 16.5-point underdog. They will not do that this weekend, being the 14.5-point underdog at home against Alabama. Alabama is going to get this win. There's just too many people to stop right now for Alabama. LSU is not going to be able to do it.
And I am going to have to agree with you, only because there's a part of me that wanted to pick LSU because I knew you were going to pick Alabama. However, it's the Alabama rule. Until Alabama loses, like every year, you just pick Alabama until they lose. I am doing that still. I am picking Alabama. The risk reward for, yes, if I pick LSU and I'm right, I gain a game on you in the record. But if I don't and they lose, then it is better to have lost with you than to have lost against you. So I am going to go with Alabama to beat LSU in this game. Then we've got some Big 12 action going on. Oklahoma against Texas Tech. Do the Red Raiders have a chance to beat the Sooners in Lubbock, Texas?
Again, Ricky, you ask if there's that chance always, but not a good one. Oklahoma's going to get the win.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Sooners as well. Almost wanted to pick the upset, but I'm not going to. I'm going to pick the favorite with the Sooners. Then we have 3 ranked games left. The first one, Fresno State in the Mountain West playing 2-6 UNLV. Got to go with the 25-point favorite, Fresno State Bulldogs.
Yeah, UNLV has been very consistent lately. In their last 5
losses.
Definitely can't go with UNLV. So got to go Fresno State.
And then a team that we talked about earlier in the first segment of the podcast, the Washington State Cougars. They're going to host the Cal Bears, who just recently beat the Washington Huskies. Does Cal have it in them again to upset a Washington-based team?
Oh, Washington State, I think for sure is going to get the win in this one. They've been playing really good football. They've won their last 4. They've been feeling themselves. That's for sure. They're looking like a team that could have playoff hopes at the end of the season.
Yeah, I should have picked Washington State last week. I am going to pick them this week. They will get the win over Cal. And then our last ranked matchup, we have 7-1 Utah State going up against 6-4 Hawaii in Honolulu. Who you got, Utah State or the Warriors?
I picked Utah State earlier this year. They were not a top 25 team at the time out of the Mountain West, and I'm going to roll with them again.
Yeah, I'm going to go Utah State in this one as well. Just don't think Hawaii has it in them, although it is a home game for the Warriors. I am going to go with I believe the Rainbow Warriors. Am I saying that full name right? I think it's, the Rainbow Warriors, not just the Warriors. But I think the Aggies from Utah State are going to go ahead and get the win. And then our non-top 25 game, Brandon, I'm going to let you go first. Who is your top 25 game and the winner?
Well, this team has been struggling this year, and they've been struggling as of late. But I am going to say that the USC Trojans are going to get back on track this year, and they're going to beat Oregon State on the road at Research Stadium.
The Oregon State team that recently beat Colorado this past weekend.
Yes.
So my game, I'm dipping into some waters that we have now. This is a first on the Primetime Podcast. This first part isn't a first. It is a undefeated versus undefeated matchup going on in the state of New Jersey. This game will only be available to you on ESPN+. It is a 12 p.m. kickoff on Saturday. But here are the firsts, Brandon. At first, this is the first FCS game that we will be picking on the podcast. Well, that I will be picking. And number 2, it is the first Ivy League game that we will have featured on the podcast. We have on 2 sides. 1, Dartmouth. On the other side, Princeton. 7-0 versus 7-0. The winner, the king of the Ivy League. They're already the king because they're smarter than I'll ever be, but that football, they at least get to win the Ivy League if they win this game. I'm going to go with Princeton to get the win at home over Dartmouth, and Princeton then will be in the driver's seat to win the Ivy League crown at the end of the year. So, Brandon, an FCS for the first time and an Ivy League matchup for the first time on the podcast.
Ricky, very interesting. I like you going outside the box on that.
Yeah, I looked at it. I'm like, you know what FCS teams are going at? And I'm like, ooh, undefeated versus undefeated. I feel like I have to go with this one and Princeton, even though I really don't know nothing about Ivy League football, and could have easily picked Dartmouth as well. But this is going to be it for the Primetime Podcast this week. Thank you guys for coming with us and chilling with us as we talk some college football. Make sure to let us know who you are picking down below. Let us know what you think about anything we talked about on the podcast. Quick little housekeeping here at the end. Make sure to support us on patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. That link is down below in the description. You can also get our t-shirt down there as well. You can also get it at mostvaluablepodcast.com, where you can catch MVP each and every day. And then last but not least, please go on to Apple Podcasts and iTunes. Rate the podcast. Let us know why you like listening to the podcast each and every week. I want to thank you guys for listening to the podcast this week. Have a great week of football, and as always, have a good day, everybody.